March is Human Rights Month in South Africa, and it is a time to reflect on how far we have come as a nation. Although South Africa is known as a violent society due to its traumatic past, great strides have been achieved in the past 26 years. Among the positives is the creation of institutional capacity to advance human rights. Institutions such as the Human Rights Commission, the Gender Commission and the Equality Court have been formed. To talk more on this, we're now joined by Corlett Letlojane, Executive Director for Human Rights Institute of South Africa. Corlett, a very good evening and thank you so much for speaking to us. We talk about progress that has been made in the last 26 years. Give us a bit of a narrative on where we've come from.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us. I think we've made great progress in terms of incorporating the rights that are fundamental basic rights that we fought for many years before, during apartheid particularly. I think we've seen a constitution which is very progressive, a constitution that safeguards, ensure that rights are protected by oversight mechanisms like your Human Rights Commission, as you have mentioned, and the Commission for Gender Equality and many others. They've got the mandate to promote and protect all the rights in the Bill of Rights. However, in order for these institutions to function effectively, they need resources and they need, to be supported, proper support by the government. We find that although we have them in 9 provinces in the country, they need a lot of resources, to manage and deal the current violence of human rights that we continue seeing, especially during what is called the 9 lost years.
Let's talk about some of the shortcomings. We've obviously highlighted some of the progress. Which areas have we maybe gone backwards or not made as much progress as we could have?
Yeah, I think we didn't do well in terms of service delivery. For example, we've got economic and social rights. I think this is one right that South Africa could have really made progress. There's commitment in terms of our constitution and our past that we need to have this inequality in the country to be addressed, especially the economic situations of people. Unemployment is one of them, and also development in townships, in informal settlement, or in the so-called previously marginalized communities. We have not done a lot in terms of ensuring that people have got basic fundamental rights, the right to water, for example, the right to services, like even to own a piece of land. We still have provinces that, citizens cannot, they still can't own land. We still have chiefs that are allocating sites for people, and people want to have ownership where they can sell, where they can do a lot with their rights. And I think, what we have seen is the impunity. We've seen the violence that actually, advanced by those that are supposed to be protecting our democracy. The law enforcement, it has really failed us in many times. We know that the Minister of Police is out there, encouraging respect of law enforcement, and for the law enforcement, some of them that have been held accountable in terms of committing corruption and all that. We've seen that, participation in democracy, which is a core value of our constitution, has been impeded by denial of citizens to exercise their right. The citizens do not have other means to exercise where there's a shortage, for example, shortcomings in terms of delivering services to people. And we have seen a lot of violations of human rights committed to women and children and femicide. Gender-based violence, unfortunately, has persisted during a time of the pandemic, and even before. We thought, this will be a somber time where we are addressing, or we are dealing with the problem of the pandemic. But we've seen women and children, marginalization of them in terms of living in safe environments, being able to exercise their right without fear and to fulfill their roles, in an environment which is conducive to human rights. So women, still live in fear, and there's not much respect in terms of ensuring that their role as leaders in society is respected. We have seen few women or the voices. We don't have a voice of a woman human rights defender, like a consistent voice in the country, and to see a women's transformation that should be seen, happening on the side of women in terms of playing roles in the economy, not depending so much on their partners that they find themselves trapped in their own homes. So we've seen that corruption has contributed, is attributing more onto that, because focus, is more about self-enrichment. It's more about how I make myself to be powerful over and above, or at the detriment at the very basic fundamental rights that our constitution has really enshrined, and it's known, it's hailed as the progressive instrument. However, in terms of being practically, realized and benefiting the very people that were previously marginalized, we still have a long way to go. And we are seeing that the budget, the resources that were earmarked to develop, to improve human rights in the country, they are now, utilized for addressing violations of human rights. We have institutions like the state.
Corlett, I'm going to come in here and just ask a question. Yes. Obviously, Sekhofatso Pula's name is on the lips of everyone in the country at the moment. Now, as a human rights body, what lobbying or what pressure have you put on government to deal with these issues? Last month we reported on the actions that government, or certainly the police minister and his department, were putting in place to arrest the perpetrators. How about stopping them? What efforts are you making in lobbying towards those causes?
Yeah, I think sensitization of law enforcement is very pivotal in terms of ensuring that the suspects that are arrested, they are prosecuted. There's prosecutions that are taking place. We don't have those situations where docket disappears or people are out on bail indefinitely until we do not know. We have people that have been sexually abused many years ago. They know the perpetrators, they know the suspect, they've reported these cases, and nothing has happened. Now there's laws that are going to ensure that even if you suffered for many years and there was no progress in terms of prosecution and holding the suspect accountable, you can still bring those matters before the court. I think we are making progress in terms of even ensuring that the government is reporting properly, because they are also monitored outside the country by their peer states. They have got commitments, like you have the protocol on the rights of women in Africa. What are the changes or the mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that women's rights are protected? They do not suffer as is currently happening under the sketch that rate South Africa as the capital of rape. We are the highest in the continent and in the world. And we want to see that change. I think we have been very, laissez-faire. I think we've been taking a very...
So how's this change implemented? I mean, it's one thing to want to talk about the things that we want to see or put in legislation, but who's spearheading the change? Where's that change starting? What is that process?
I think the process is all of us in the country, the society as well, and the state as well, partnering together. We have a big role to play. We have different stakeholders. At the grassroots level, I think we need to do a lot of, we are talking about door-to-door campaigns now, because you find that you're speaking about the cost, you're speaking about the police stations, and there's expectations of changes that are supposed to be taken there. But as soon as people leave the society is left on their own. There's still those violations that are committed. I think change needs to begin from the ground. We need to sensitize, target all structures that we have, existing structures in communities, your mahota, your stockpiles, even the shebins and, burials. There are so many opportunities that are out there. And also local government. I think we could make use of the local government. Local government is so attached, is so close to communities. They can have those structures as well inside their institutions, where civil society, can play that role in terms of providing the training, in terms of sensitizing them. But I think the main thing here is that working together with our male counterparts. If we bring a male as well on the processes, and because it is not a fight against women against men, but it is against the perpetrators, those who are violating human rights. So we need to form, to strengthen, to solidify those relationships or those male persons that are currently working on their own and are not visible, are bringing support to the discourse. I think we can even also start coming up with innovative, activities to empower the youth, the young men out there. They need proper mentoring. They need proper leadership. They need us, to support them and to be part and parcel of some of the campaigns that we are running,
Colette,
so that we become
we're going to have to end the conversation there.
Thank you very much.
But absolutely thank you for your time this evening. Corlett Letlojane, Executive Director of Human Rights Institute of South Africa.